from RF-SMART. This is Taking Inventory, a podcast all about better controlling your supply chain and improving inventory management. And now, your host, Sarah Archer.
Hi, welcome to Taking Inventory, the RF-SMART podcast. My name is Sarah Archer, and on this podcast, we talk about ERP, WMS, and we talk about customers that are utilizing technology to make their workplace more efficient and accurate. And today I have one of those customers with me. Adam Taylor is on the line from PetShop.co.uk. I'm going to let him introduce himself more here in a moment, but Adam, having you on the podcast is kind of a big deal because you are the first customer we've had on the podcast that's based outside of North America. So Adam is in the UK. We have spoken to a member of our sales team who's in Australia, but this is our first international customer. Some of you may or may not know that RF-SMART is a global company. We have an office in the UK. But Adam, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself and then about your business, PetShop.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for having me. Yes, I'm Adam. I'm the founder, or I should say co-founder. The other founder is my wife of a company called PetShop.co.uk. We're one of the largest online pet shops in the UK, and we sell ultimately 10,000 weird and wonderful and also everyday pet products to the pet parents of Britain, and on our NetSuite website here in the UK. I guess to wrap up. I'm a father of soon to be three daughters, and I live here in the middle of England in Shakespeare County, Warwickshire.
And I have to ask, you have pets, right? You have to have pets if you run a pet company.
The business idea originally originated from my sort of personal experience. I've always grown up with pets. I have three sisters. I mean, our house is always full of pets and friends, and so it's always a bit of a zoo in our house. But we've had everything from goldfish, hamsters, household rabbits to dogs and cats. And I set up the business originally seeing my mother struggling with pet supplies and constantly running out, and now I have moved out of home. There was an interesting period when I talked about my pets and people assumed they were here and wanted to take photos of me and my pets here. But my family actually live in New York, and it was a bit awkward because I didn't have any pets in the UK. But as a result of that, I've now got two cats here in the UK, but it was my family pets still in New York.
Oh, man, I'm glad you're a cat person. I'm a cat person, too. So we'll get along great. I have one cat.
Yeah, cats are definitely the pet for the busy working professionals, as I say, because you don't have to walk them per se,
And they're smaller, depending. My cat is 18 pounds. She's massive. She's like a huge cat. So she is bigger than some small dogs, I guess. But Adam, one of the questions that we get very, very often is around ROI, which also means return on investment, and how to use NetSuite and RF-SMART to actually prove that there is value in the investment that you've made, which is very important. And so we're going to get to that in a moment because PetShop is doing such an amazing job of measuring success and then using that success to make decisions, which is what this is all about. But can you kind of start? I think that it would be helpful for everyone listening if you would give sort of a timeline overview of your implementation. So when you started implementing NetSuite, when you implemented RF-SMART, and then maybe some of the changes that you've made as you've implemented these technologies.
Yes, certainly. So we I guess just to start at the beginning, we set up the business back in 2010. It was in 2014 that we realized we needed an entire sort of business ERP system. So it was 2014 we started using NetSuite. And back then we were operating out of an 8,000 square foot warehouse. And it was in sort of 2017 that we then moved into a new warehouse to facilitate growth. And that was about a 40,000 square foot warehouse where we kind of realized very quickly we needed a more we needed a warehouse management system to help us run our business effectively. And that's kind of when we started doing the sort of research and investigation, and we came across RF-SMART around that time. And I think we've now been using RF-SMART for just coming up to 2 years now. So 2018, 2019, we sort of we signed up and then went live. I guess to sort of share kind of the journey, because I spent ages kind of researching different WMS systems and so on. And I think what really stood out for RF-SMART for us was one, it's the fact that its internal environment is built within NetSuite. I think it's the only WMS solution that is. And if you are a NetSuite diehard user like us, that was imperative. And in fact, we made the decision to use NetSuite really because it had everything under one umbrella. So our CRM, our accounting, our ordering, even the e-commerce website is all in NetSuite's internal platform. And so when it came to the WMS solution, we felt, well, we shouldn't verge away from the core reasons why we're using NetSuite, and that was to keep everything within one umbrella. And I think it's quite unique and powerful as a business to stay true to that, because the reason why that's so important is there's seamless integration. So there's never either misinformation, relying on feeds that may be timely or costly, and so on. So that was really kind of the initial thing that really stood out to RF-SMART for us. So 2 years on, we're really happy with that decision, and we've further, as the business has grown, I guess we've grown. We've grown our different features and products and tools that we use within RF-SMART as well as within NetSuite.
So, Adam, I want to kind of transition to talk a little bit about customer service. Customer service is very important to RF-SMART, and then, of course, to RF-SMART customers. And that was something that was kind of missing initially for you guys as you began to scale. There were some cracks in that customer service aspect just from not having the technology, the mobile inventory. So could you speak to some of the improvements in customer service and also retention? You guys saw a huge improvement in retention. I'll let you share. But once you started using RF-SMART, can you just kind of list off some of those statistics?
Yes, certainly. So, so I guess, just sort of give a bit of background. Like we sell basically commodity products. We sell all the big branded pet foods, toys and accessories and meds. So we'll sell Mars and Nestle's brands, and we'll compete directly with Amazon and the supermarkets and the equivalents of PetSmart and Petco in the UK. So customer service kind of we identified that as being a very important thing for us. As how can you outmaneuver Amazon? How can you offer a value added services, and customer services is one really obvious option for many businesses. Just even having a telephone number at the top of your page, you're already leaps and bounds ahead. And so back when we were very small, and myself and Lexi used to pick and pack all the orders, we used to handwrite notes. I'd even hand deliver the ones locally. But we were sort of time rich and cash poor back then, so that worked. But as you get bigger, it's for us, and if you want to make customer service your thing, it's important not to lose those original, I guess, strengths that really defined and made your business different. And that's happens very easily with growth, and it's always constantly a challenge for us. How do you keep that personal touch, and in turn that generally leads to retention rate and repeat orders and so on. So customer service is really key for us. And I guess what we saw is there's I guess 3 phases of when me and Lexi were doing it ourselves. So then when we had this sort of 8,000 square foot warehouse, and then when we had this big 40,000 square foot warehouse, and each sort of growth surge, you start to see cracks appear. And one of the big ones for us that we started to see as we got busier, and as a result, with the cracks, we started to see more negative reviews appear on the review websites, customer retention fall down, lifelong loyal customers leaving us, and that can have a really huge impact. So, and the cracks were basically, from an operational standpoint, came from actually not having, I guess, in its basic form, is not delivering, either delivering the correct product in the time that we said we would, or just not being able to deliver at all. So we'd sell products, but we didn't have accurate stock levels, and then actually we find it hard to source new products from the manufacturers. So just getting that simple thing right, of having live accurate stock levels, and then making sure you pick and pack the correct product, and then making sure it gets to them in super fast time. Just focusing on that is a very powerful, success model for any business, because you start to just see your retention rate increase. And so pre RF-SMART, we had about a 40% retention rate, but since RF-SMART and really focusing on getting our operations in gear, we now have a 70% retention rate, and the lifetime value and profit per customers, significantly increased in turn. So it's definitely been a massive game changer for us.
So I want to kind of move into talking. I know that functionality wise, you are using bin put away, item lookup, sales order picking, amongst other things. And so I want to talk about this ROI though. And if you could just speak to the what is the biggest ROI that you're seeing? And then after that, I want to talk about how you are using that data in order to make some decisions, because you guys have some really exciting stuff happening in your warehouse. So first question, what is the biggest ROI?
I think, it definitely, I think doing an exercise of actually cost savings on different areas would be, really interesting. I guess from my observations, I think that, the biggest return on investment from it is in the efficiency of picking and packing, but actually also it's actually on the sales side and customer retention. It's really those two things together that's had the biggest improvement. And it's interesting because the sales and retention rate are probably not always thought necessarily go hand in hand with the WMS solution, but it definitely, particularly in this this day and age where e-commerce is the benchmark of what good e-commerce looks like is high. You've got to be really offering similar service to the likes of Amazon to even exist these days. So I think I think those are the two big areas. In terms of the warehouse efficiency, the pick and packers. We just, at this size of business, we couldn't operate without a WMS solution in. So it wouldn't even be questionable. But I think the fact that RF-SMART's built within NetSuite, it's been provide even better return on investment, because we've been able to utilize our investment already into NetSuite coupled with RF-SMART. So it's not like we've had to, for example, to save search reports and things like that. So there's been a huge advantage by bringing RF-SMART that's already in this environment. But yeah, in terms of picking and packing efficiencies and training, I would guess that it's kind of speeded up the packers. Almost by 100%. They're doing sort of 150 to 300 orders a day. Pickers a similar level, whereas before they were doing 50 orders would be good, really. So it's really helped make improve their efficiencies, and that's just by knowing where the stock is and walking straight there rather than having to walk around and look for stock. On the sort of sales side and customer retention side, that's it. It's hard really quantify it because we're growing for many different reasons. But I think customer service and customer retention is really key for our business because there's such a high repeat purchase pattern. So if we didn't, it wouldn't even be worth investing in all the marketing and all the fun kind of social media stuff that we do if you're not able to do the simple part right.
I want to move into this third piece of our conversation today, which is really kind of diving into those metrics that you are keeping track of. And you monitor these very closely. You spend a lot of time monitoring this and having really, you have a great grasp on what is happening within your organization. I'm curious about the KPIs that you are tracking and then how you are using that decision to make data. So I'd love to hear what KPIs you are using, but then I want to talk about how you're using that to make decisions and how you've implemented that within your warehouse. So, what exactly are you measuring?
So we measure, I guess a whole variety of different metrics because there's so many different parts to the warehouse. So there's goods in, put away, picking, packing, and so on. And so there's, I guess, what's really powerful is, and I've mentioned it before, is with RF-SMART being built within NetSuite, it creates this really cool ability to be able to pull out reports and data and KPIs that are important to your business. So we've, I do love warehousing, and I think there's so much like real extra value add and savings to be had by getting where it's ultimately it's the motor to any business, distribution business that is, because you're only as good as your stock levels and an ability to get it out in time. So we monitor everything, and I guess each department we've built a dashboard within NetSuite that monitors the RF-SMART performance. So on the simplest level, we have current orders needing to be picked and packed. Orders that were packed yesterday, orders that were picked yesterday, and orders that have been picked at this, to current time and packed to current time. And the importance of that is, it starts to give you an idea of how many staff you need each day, because particularly with this current times of sales going up and down, it means you can actually adjust a lot more quickly to say, okay, if you have 100. One person can do 100 orders in a shift, and you've suddenly got an increase of orders. It's just it empowers the warehouse management team to be able to recruit people quickly. It also, I'm just trying to think. The other way the warehouse management looks at it is, we also have metrics monitoring orders on a daily basis of how old they are within NetSuite, so we can start to get a timestamp to see, okay, are there any orders that got stuck for some reason, and the warehouse team can go in and reprint those orders and then give them to pickers and packers. So it helps us sort of have this visual health of the business, make sure that we're getting all the orders out in time. And equally, as the management side, you can oversee how they're performing there. That's kind of on its sort of daily basis. The other side, and in the important side, is what we found is we don't really want to, whether it's us as management or the warehouse management, spend our days constantly looking over people and saying, you need to pick quicker and pack faster and so on. It doesn't really lead to very great team environment. So what we sat down with the warehouse members and said, kind of what would you like and so on, and they all said, okay, we want more money. It's probably quite obvious. And then we kind of there's interesting questions like, oh, okay, what if we do overtime? Can we get paid more then? and I mentioned we're selling a commodity product, but I guess it's true of any business now. Is I'm hearing more and more businesses not offering overtime for doing out of office hours, and the reality is that businesses, we're under such tight profit pressures anyway. We don't get any more profit if we pick and pack. We just don't generally have any more margin for that. So then it was like, okay, well, how do we help empower them to achieve more, and give it to their control? And how, and that came down to, okay, well, if they really, the only flex or a way that we can unlock more profit to share with the team is by driving extra efficiencies out of the warehouse. And so that's kind of where we built within our SMART this really, I think it's quite cool sort of KPI metrics where we have sort of, I guess, targets for 3 tiers of good, better and best. And depending on those targets, you then unlock a certain extra salary. But then what was equally interesting and cool, because that solves, I guess, the productivity side. But the other cool thing is we then created a team bonus as well, which then kind of gets this whole team sort of atmosphere and ethos where everybody's wanting to help each other. So it isn't just about, okay, if I independently, if I pack all my orders quickly, then I'll get more money. Actually, that could actually incentivize negative behavior where people are only choosing quick orders. But you put a bit more of a focus on the team bonus, then it becomes quite exciting where actually you're really not having to tell anybody else, oh, you shouldn't be on your phone or you shouldn't be outside smoking when you should be working, because the team is invested into it and they almost police themselves. And that's kind of where I think, new warehousing and sort of the gamification of warehousing becomes, really exciting, empowering, where you're basically giving the power to the people. And what's been key is with RF-SMART within that is RF-SMART's got it because it's got all these timestamps and movement stamps. It's given us all these data points that we can then monitor that. Now we do have some stats already within RF-SMART that we use, reports, but we've also taken that some of those data points even further and put it into NetSuite, and that's where we've built this KPI piece. And it's quite, it's relatively pioneering and cutting edge stuff, which is only really possible because of the combination of RF-SMART and NetSuite being together, and that's as a competitive advantage against our competitors that are using 2 different silo softwares that can't speak. It's very powerful and very exciting for any business to be able to do that. Now, I talked about it from our perspective, and I appreciate that may not be relevant for everyone, but there's always some ways, what's important for your employees, what do they need, and what's the metric for your business that improves your profitability to be able to invest more into people, is I guess the exercise to go through. And so ultimately we found that if the warehouse improves their picking and packing performance even by 10%, the profit impact is quite heavily more than that, and so therefore we can share that profit, extra profit with them, and it's definitely it's amazing when you look at and you do the model of the savings that you can get, because it really brings the business efficiencies are incredible, and cost of a salary is a lot, so they can pick 10% more overnight. It has a very big impact. So yeah, that's kind of what we've done. I guess to finish that off is what we've also done is to share that information with them, and that's something I'm always a big fan on with about NetSuite is you've got all this data to share it, whether it's sharing it with your staff, whether it's your suppliers, but you've got this amazing data that you can now share that everyone can be involved in, and they feel a bit more involved. So, for example, you can share with the pickers and packers how many orders there are coming in, but also this whole KPI chart we've got up in our warehouse on a big monitor, and they can see their own performance, and they can see what they need, what the target they need to, how many minutes per bin, or how many minutes per order they need to get to unlock the next band, and so I'm quite, it's quite nice to be able to, to empower people to be a bit more in charge of their own destiny there. And I think, particularly in warehousing environment, it's not it's not being done so often. And it's probably because it's quite difficult to do if you're using these silo bits of software. But that's definitely really quite exciting for us. And you don't have to do it in NetSuite too. You could just do it all in RF-SMART, but there's other data points as well that you get from NetSuite that you can use.
Well, and knowledge is power, right? You don't know what you don't know, and so if you aren't utilizing these features of NetSuite and RF-SMART, there are probably lots of things that you're missing. There's, just the data that you're able to share with your team.
Yeah. I guess so. Like, even on that side, it's just like, so we run we were running it 24/7 during the COVID surge. We now run it 2 shifts up until 10 p.m. But just that knowledge is power too. From a management perspective too, is that you don't have to then be there on site. It's sort of, asking people to pick harder or so on. You have complete faith that they know that and generally everyone raises their game and does the best they can do. So it's a much more positive environment is what we're finding for us. And you don't say your management's not there. You don't have to employ extra management to basically monitor performance. It's done. You let the system and the data do that, and you let people know that they're in charge of that too themselves.
Well, and as you're beginning to make decisions about this, for those listening, you're thinking, okay, this sounds great, but where do you find the money? Like, where do you find the money to create this kind of incentive program, bonus program? And for PetShop, that's really directly reflected on being able to use RF-SMART and NetSuite in order to have control over that obsolete stock, like we talked about, have a little bit better information about customer retention. All of those things really tie together in order to create this, you've got time savings, you've got increased accuracy, and now it's money savings. You're saving money that you're then able to reinvest back into your business.
Yes, no, definitely. I mean, 100%. You get all that extra. You get the savings and on the operational side to reinvest back. But actually, even just looking at the KPI chart that we built, the money to invest into the salaries is purely coming from the productivity savings. So that's self-funded itself, which is why that's really kind of neat about that side. But with just on the customer retention side and the productivity side as well, that's also actually enabling us to invest more in new customer acquisition or employees to help monitor, to manage the extra growth as well.
Yeah, it's amazing how this one part of your business, right, is now having effects in other places in your business, which I think is so neat. And so many of our other customers are probably thinking the same thing. Like, we want to see these kinds of investments in other places. And so really having a good control on the metrics that you're able to access through NetSuite and RF-SMART, I think, is really key to doing that. So Adam, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I know that those listening probably have a lot of questions, and you're probably thinking, well, where do I even get started. And so if you're looking for that next step, I will leave a link. We have a guide on our website for calculating ROI of mobile barcoding. And so I'll leave that linked for you. You can check that out. It's going to give you insights in where to look for ROI, how to measure it, how to calculate it. So you can, of course, prove return on your investment and then also quantify it and learn how to use those calculations to invest back into your business. We've also got a case study on our website with PetShop, and so I'll make sure that that's linked so you can see their story, share it with your friends. It's all written out for you there. If you are listening on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button and that you subscribe. Of course, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any of the streaming platforms, make sure you're subscribed so you can see when new episodes are released. Hopefully this excites you. It makes you want to dig a little bit deeper into areas in your business that you could see some improvements, and then kind of being able to track that and then prove your investment. I think that is so wonderful. A big thank you again to Adam and to PetShop. Thank you guys for listening. We're going to be back with a few more episodes through the end of the year, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys. We'll talk to you again real soon.